everyone, welcome back to J Journeys. My name is Natalie, and today I have a special guest on the channel and the podcast in the form of Mona Esser Pennock, which I'm very grateful for. Mona, thank you so much for taking the time. Mona is a dynamic and multidimensional woman. She is a modern mystic, a creative, an innovator, an entrepreneur, a guide. You have many hats and you have a lot of knowledge within many different modalities that I'm personally very interested in, all like traditional Chinese medicine and Chinese face reading and astrology, numerology, and even human design, I gather. So you have your Bi Shen, like intuitive advisory, and do different offerings and group things and one-on-one, and I think you call it like Rashida journeys, which sounds very intriguing. I read some of the reviews and I was like, all right, this is real. So yeah, and you have a clothing company called Gem Sun, where you're the creative director, and that in itself is really cool. Like, you describe it as intuitively designed clothing, and I just love that way. And I also saw like a statement about grace, like that grace is refinement and elegance in the art of caring and carrying, or something like that. And I was like, wow, that I felt that. So anyway, enough on my end. I'd love to hear a bit more about you and your journey to where you are today. And yeah, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so vibrant and beautiful. I love your eyeliner. You're giving total priestess. Thank you so much for having me in this space. I always love connecting with people that we don't know each other on paper, but we know each other, so this is really special. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like there's so many lines that we could go into, but truly you said it so nicely. It's I've always had two loves. Always had these two loves of this aesthetical path of fashion, of creative expression, of color, shapes, textures, but then also I've always loved talking to people and connecting to people and seeing people and being in the mystery of the person and in the unknown of the person, being able to access that. And so for now, I am in a place where I can kind of like have these two containers, where I built these two containers that I can fully stream myself into. But that was a lot of work to get there, right? Like a lot of cleansing, a lot of like peeling back the layers to get there. So I think I'm going to just start with my upbringing, which we talked about a little bit before, because I think it sets up the ground so nicely and kind of like lets people understand where I come from. And so I'm originally from Germany. I have two German parents, but they both worked in tourism and actually met each other outside of Germany. So maybe some people even know the resort company Club Med, and there's also German versions of that. So I grew up in a resort for the first 10 years of my life. So in Tunisia, North Africa, and the half island of Jerba, and then also in Portugal. And so that from early years on, like, exposed me to a little bit of a different life, because obviously it was different cultures, and especially North Africa back then in the 90s was totally even different than what it is today, so was exposed to this beach life early on, swimming a lot. The ocean has always been such a big, it's actually, I feel like, soul of mine. Like, I feel so connected to the ocean and that oceanic consciousness. So growing up with different foods and in beautiful spaces and with people that are coming to vacation, but also connecting with the people who are from there, so having like German tourism coming in, like the people from Germany, like staying connected to my roots, but then also playing with the kids of the workers, the Tunisians that are from there. So it was always this very interesting feeling of like, oh, I'm not this and I'm not that. I'm kind of like that weaving, that braiding of both of them together, and it's makes me emotional, because I think when we moved back to Germany, I think I kind of like put that aside. I didn't really talk about this much. Like even I remember like in my teenage years when then I was studying and like moving away again, people were like, oh, I never knew this. Why are you calling this your home? And I'm like, well, it was my home, you know, but in your teenage years, I kind of like didn't want to talk about it that much. But actually now that I've like obviously that have done so much inner work and like just seeing my life, it's like, wow, it's something actually quite beautiful and special. And a teacher of mine, shout out to Daniel Ryan, he was telling me this year and has kind of like awakened me this year to be like, what I do with my work is vacation. I create vacation consciousness for people. And
Oh,
so I'm like, whoa, actually, that's so true, you know? So I am doing this with Bishan and with Jimsan. I'm creating spaces, temples, palaces, consciousness where you feel like you are able to drop in. And I think that's what we are doing when we're on holiday, vacation, taking a city trip, you know, traveling. It's just like we're dropping in, we are arriving, we're widening our consciousness. And so after we returned to Germany, yeah, it was a different life, you know. And I think
yeah.
something in like now when we talk about the inner child, right, and that these younger versions of us, I think definitely something shifted in me. Like, ooh, we're not by the water, we're not playing mermaids, we're not with the dolphins. So I think there was almost like this, wow, a little bit the first like Saturn return, kind of like that we have like with 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, when the first square comes and that was really awakening to me. And so returning to Germany to a little beautiful village, which was quite international because it's the town where Adidas and Puma are actually from. So
Oh,
it was, again, really interesting, really like a really unique place again, you know, because it was a small place in Germany, but we had a lot of interesting people there, international people, because the headquarters of both of those brands were there. So, but I always felt like I mean, I don't want to, I was okay, but like always felt like an outsider. I never really
yeah.
felt like I am German and I want to stay there. Like even though I love the culture, you know, there's so many beautiful
Mm,
things, and especially now I've been gone for so long, returning is now like a total treasure experience. I take pictures of the bakery that I used to go to, even though back then it wasn't special, but now it's like special, you know. So I always felt very deeply connected to signs and synchronicities. I think that's what kind of pulled me into like studying the spiritual world. And obviously, as many of us started with yoga, started with meditation, started with breath work. When I think with like 13 years old, I started telling my parents, I want to go to India. Can we go on summer holiday to India?
wow.
Not understanding that that's not really a thing that you do as a European family to go on vacation for 2 weeks to India, right? You've been, you know, right? No, we go to Italy, we go to Spain. And so then I saved some money in my high school years and then was working the summer before I graduated and actually went to India by
Wow.
myself with 18 after I graduated from high school. And it was my best friend wasn't able to come because her dad didn't let her. My boyfriend at the time was all over the place and wasn't really supporting that either. So it was really interesting that I was left by myself going there. My mom didn't talk to me for a month because she was so scared. She was like, "You're going to India alone. That's not okay." And you know, you have to imagine long blonde hair, green
Yeah.
eyes. You know, I mean, things are different now, but obviously it's a different kind of country. It's not I'm going to Austria, you know, from Germany. Like it's a
No.
different step. So I went there and I just, the unfolding of the lotus, just, it was just incredible what happened and how from one place to another, I didn't really plan anything, was just taking to one place. And I met my first teacher who then, I was in an ashram and a silent retreat. A little bit south of Rishikesh. And then that's where I first got kind of like reinitiated. I always say reinitiated because it's just about lifting the blanket, right? We never
Yeah.
just learn something new.
Remembering.
Exactly, remembrance. And so I got reintroduced, reinitiated into meditation, mantra, and yeah, yogic science. And then from there on, it was just, okay, I have the medicine. And then kind of like took me 7 years from there to really step into the work fully as an entrepreneur by myself because along the side. Yes, yes, yes. I knew I needed to do this, but I was actually enrolled in school then, and I studied fashion management and trend forecasting, marketing, that kind of stuff. And while I really, really liked doing that, I returned after India, I returned to Germany, I moved to Berlin. I partied a lot. I experimented. I did a lot of internships, but since I have this like Capricornian kind of like upbringing with both parents being quite characters and like also, you know, wanting us to like build something, I didn't think that it was, I didn't even think about the spiritual being a source of income for me,
Yeah.
right? Because I
The
still had this
profession.
really, yeah, exactly. I had this really strong and strict kind of upper hand of like, no, I need to become the marketing manager of Loewe. You know, I need to be the creative director of blah, 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 blah. Always thinking I need to do this. Meanwhile, in me, there were, in German, we are calling this schlummering, like snoozing. There were like these energies coming up, and like my dressing was becoming even more expressive, and a lot of purple and black and in Berlin. And I committed after India to meditating every day. So I literally since 18, 17, 18, I have meditated every day. So that was
Wow.
something that I was able to, even through, you know, university, partying, traveling, all of that, to like hold with me. And then I think how it works, you know, through relationships and new openings, I realized early on, that corporate world, especially in fashion, you know, and then
Toxic.
yeah, simultaneously to that, I always knew I wanted to live in New York, and so I only moved to Berlin because the school in Berlin that I was with or was enrolled in had a program with New York. And so part of my study program was to go to New York. So then for like 6, 9 months, I went to New York for the first, like I've had visited it before, but then I went and I studied there. I had really beautiful teachers. And I was kind of like going into trend forecasting. And I think I love bringing this up in conversations because trend forecasting, if you think about it now with knowing what happened in my life, it's like, it's literally channeling, right?
Yeah,
So, and
you're
now I am a
predicting.
channel. I channel for people and I channel designs and all of that. So it's really interesting how that worked out. And I had one wonderful, wonderful boss there, actually, Savannah Todd, who inspired me so much. And I worked at WGSN, which is a trend forecasting
Oh,
agency. And that was really amazing. This whole New York life was like, wow, I knew it. This was for me. I always knew I wanted to be here, right? But it's so hard with the visa and all of that. And so I first went there with 20,
well,
but knew that I wanted to go there
yeah.
from like 15 on, right? Okay, just to have the timeline. And then, long story short, went back to Germany, corporations, moved to Zurich. I was with LVMH, I was with Estee Lauder, all of these big names and luxury perfumery and clothing and all of that. And at some point, I came back to New York. I reconnected to someone who I met there the first time, who's now my husband, who's literally my sacred union embodied, the rose path
Oh,
embodied, which is Koa, my husband, who's a just indescribable, beautiful being. And so through him, he then moved to Berlin for me. La 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 la. We decided to get married, and then 2019 we fully moved back to New York, which then
oh,
was that breakthrough of a whole new life starting. I quit my job. I was with Zalando, like building their beauty
wow.
world in all these 11 different countries. I think they're probably in more now. And it was just a small group of women. It was actually quite beautiful, to be honest. It was a beautiful concept and a beautiful team. But at some point, I was like, why do we keep looking at what we're not good at and where we need to develop rather than looking what we're so damn good at, right? And so I was like bothered by that. And a year before I started working there, I was with Dior in Switzerland, and we had this group meeting, like this group workshop meeting, and there was this wonderful woman, the mother of one of the girls that worked there, who was a face reader. And she did this beautiful course, and I was first not allowed to come because I already quit, and then my boss said no, but then my director said yes. So it was all these like wild things aligning. And at the end of this course, she tells me that she would love to give me a reading, a personal one. So I go to the reading, and then at the end of the reading, she tells me that whenever I'm ready, she would like to teach me because she sees that capacity in me. So, okay,
Wow.
so that happened in Zurich. Then I still had one more corporate job in Berlin, the whole Zalando thing. Then we moved back to New York, and she taught me how to read faces in this whole
Wow.
time, kind of like after work, and was studying. And this time, like deep studying back then, right? There was no AI and stuff. Like it was still, even though it's not far
Was a
away,
bit more analog.
I'm not 88, but like, I'm like early 30s. Like I'm just out of my 20s, and so yeah, studying with books, studying through meditation, studying through learning internet, la 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 la, pulling everything together, and with her, with this beautiful teacher of mine. Shout out to Beatrice, also wonderful being, such an important pillar of my life. And yeah, and then back in New York, wow. 2019, we got married, crazy visa stuff happening, me not officially being legal. It was so wild. It was so wild. And then the pandemic hit. And then I was like reading people and my friends, and I did not take money for it. Like, no, no, no. This is just a thing. Like, still until then, no, this is not a thing. Meanwhile, I was like ready, I was ready. I mean, I had so much already studies in astrology, numerology, it was all coming together. And then there was one friend of mine who I had given a face reading to for free. And then she wanted to gift it to a partner and to a sister, and I think another sister. And she was like, I'm going to give you money for it. And I was like, no, I don't want money for it. And she's like, no, I'm going to transfer you money. So that was kind of like that breakthrough of like, oh, this is becoming professional, right? Like when we look at the
Yeah.
description of like what professional is. And so then Bishan started in 2019. And then it got refined in 2020. And yeah, and first I started with face reading, right? And then I started using the astrology with it and the numbers, like kind of like first the numbers, face reading, the numbers, astrology, the human design came in here and there. And then I was just realizing also through people like that are my guides and that I exchanged services with, one of them, Leonora, one of my beautiful dearest friends, and also a teacher and just gorgeous light and mother out there, that she was like, I mean, you're a channel. It's in the end, you're channeling, right? And I'm an intuitive, and I use these different, let's say, yeah, almost like these different portals of like these mystical techniques to mirror you back who you are really. And it's wow, just exciting how it got there, and how I don't it's just the unknown, befriending the unknown, so deeply befriending the unknown. And it's a journey that is just wow. And everything that I can say, and I mean, hopefully this will help people who are listening to this too, it's like the only journey that fully resonate, like when I'm looking back, the body. It's like dropping into the body, the downward facing triangle. It's not the outward facing triangle. It's this, right? And so we need to descend into all of the wounds, into all of the weirdness, the uncomfortability, the deliciousness, the juiciness, all of that, so that we can ascend, right? It's not about the ascension right now. And I think that's where often, and it's been coming up in the last months for me again and again, where often I'm just feeling, when people start studying this, and when people start like kind of like first opening the curtain and like stepping into these corridors of the temple, it's almost like, oh, the light, the light, the light, the light, the light. I love the light. The light is the Shen. Shen is the light that we carry behind our eyes, that is reflected on our face. The Shen is the spirit, the deity, right? It is the source of the soul. And the Shen sits behind the eyes, because the eyes are the windows to our soul and the heart is the seat of our soul.
Mm.
So there is, when we do the things that we love, when we're fully committing and devoting ourselves to what feels good, what brings us pleasure and bliss, that's when the Shen is like streaming outward. But there is also so much Shen activation happening when we're looking into the shadows, and that does not mean shadows, what am I not good at, but shadow, like fully having that reclaiming power lust to get to know yourself to the deepest level. And I think that's something that kept me going, even though it was the pandemic, even though there was wild. I mean, I live in New York City, you know, the first years of having two businesses, no investors, no nothing, like still no
Yeah.
investors, by the way, nothing, but like just building that by myself with my best friend, like Gem Sun, but like Bishen by myself, so vulnerable. You know, I'm so
Mm.
also
It's
weird in
such
my
a
teaching.
vulnerable journey. Yeah.
It's ah, it's
Mm.
literally you know. But then you return and you're like, okay, okay, and then the right people are going, the wrong people are going, but the right people are going, and the super right people are coming in. You know, it's such a big journey, but fully is when you know yourself. And so when you look back into like all of these sacred sites around the world, and you translate what it says in front of the on top of the entries or below or in the scriptures, it's know thyself, know yourself. And so I think first and foremost with Bishen, I want to bring people into knowing themselves more. And so that's why this
Mm.
core, kind of like the backbone, the spine of the practice is the Rashida journey, which is a long-term practice. We start with 8 weeks, week after week after week, 8 weeks, where we drop into all layers of you. And most clients stay with me 6, 12 months. I have many clients who are with me 2, 3, 4 years at this point, you know. So
Wow.
this is, I would say, like that's where you will taste Bishen in all these different delicious taste buds. But yeah, I do one-off sessions where we go into your face completely, reading every single beautiful part of your face, understanding, okay, why am I so good at this? This is so, like something, am I fully investing into this? Oh, what's this shadow and how can I explore this more, right? And then the same with the numbers, which is so big, especially this year. I think it's a really good year to get your numbers read because we are ending a big cycle, starting a new one next year. So very big. And then I work with groups, which is so fulfilling and beautiful too. And my most, I think, accessible offering here is the Mystical Morning, which I do once, twice, sometimes 3 times a month. It's a group session where we do ceremonial work and a ritual around a moon season, eclipses, special numerological vibrations. So, yeah, it's in the end, who would have thought? And I had a very special session with a client of mine she's a weekly client, and we said, she kept saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And then we were like, just stop. Like, I was like getting this message, and I was like, instead of, I don't know, I unknown. I unknown. Even though it's, at the beginning, it comes weird over the tongue, but I unknown, I unknown. I unknown. Like I unknown. Like it's I know because I don't know is not true. You know. You
Yeah.
know. You know, and when you're in your body, you know, but you unknown. Like you know, but you can't pinpoint. And this is where the
Yeah.
mind, this whole topic of like let the mind be the co-pilot, not the pilot, right? Comes in. But yeah, I think that's kind of like the beginning entry. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. It's fascinating, and it sounds like you're creating like a garden or a universe of guidance and transformation for people.
Totally, and I think I love that you're, if you don't mind me sharing, that you're Scorpio rising. I surround myself with a lot of Scorpio risings, by the way. One of my best friends, and then my sister, and I have a lot of Scorpio too. I have a lot of Pisces, of course, but I think there's something about that shadow work
Yeah.
Even though we're kind of likely like scared, but are we, or do we actually all appreciate that darkness also? You know, it's
Yeah.
something that we need to lean back to. And if you think about it, right, like all sacred sites, temples, mosques, churches, like when you go in, like it's darker. It's
True.
not, they are usually built on north or east, right, where the sun rises and all of that. That we have sunlight coming in, we have natural solar and lunar light coming in, but it is usually darker. It is usually in womb form. So you know, it's always about going deeper into it, because when you have understood like that snake and dragon journey of going deeper into it, you will immediately find that stability, that deeper rooting, that throne. When we sit on the throne, then we can crown ourselves. We can't crown ourselves. Have you ever seen a king or queen that crowns themselves without a throne? Like, we need that throne to hold
Mm.
the heaviness of that, or that responsibility, that integrity, that legacy of that crown, right? So there needs to be this like, I'm
Yeah.
on the throne, and I know, if I know what my darkest, twisted, fucked up this secret is, and like my you know, my wild woman, you know, this like my blood, my like this, all that was said to be nasty and dirty and all of it. When I know and honor the dirtiness and the nastiness and the darkness within me, nobody can hurt me.
Exactly. You become
Nobody, like, you're
unstoppable.
sovereign.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you're sovereign. That gives you sovereignty. It's like when you earn your own money, when you release from paternal, maternal, like, you know, it's like sovereign. You become sovereign when you know more parts of yourself. And will you ever know all parts of yourself? No. But every season, every portal, there's another layer that can be taken off. And I think especially, and that's why I think it's so beautiful and kind of kismet and gorgeous that we're connecting, is especially this year that is a snake year, that is so crazy transformative and so much about completion. We are in a 2025, right? So 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 5 is 9. So 9 is the ending. It's the completion of a circle, of a cycle. It's where the string, do we have something? Yes. Where the string, right, turns into that beautiful concept of a circle where things are coming together, where we learn how to fly. And I think if you just think about that, like, or feel that, we have the snake year, we have the 9 year, plus we had all outer planets change signs since November. This is full-blown birth canal energy. We are in the birth canal of a new life to come. There's only 9 numbers, so 2026 vibrates on a 1. So we're going into a new 9-year cycle next year. Like, it's so woo. And so, and also numerology, Chinese medicine plus Vedic and Western astrology coming together. In 2026, all signs will be in these, all outer planets will be in these new signs going forward. So
Wow.
2025, again, to really have that for everyone, like 2025 is such a bridge. But it's not a bridge in the beautiful sunshine. It's a bridge in the lowest parts of yourself. How are you bridging these past and future self concepts together? That's kind of like what this year is about. And there is definitely this new dream and this new world already. I mean, we haven't talked about it. Have you felt this year that there's this new life? You're seeing a new life coming,
Yes. Everything's changing
right?
for me. Everything's shifting. My whole
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, my whole perception of reality, all the alignments, stuff is making sense in my life after like many years.
Goosebumps, beautiful. Well, resonating, yes, exactly. And so knowing that where you are right now, wherever we are in this like quantum field of people listening to this in the past and the now and the
The
future,
ether.
right? It's like wherever we are, it's this trust and deeply surrender into the unknown. I unknown, as we said, I unknown is so important right now, because there is going to be a new book. a
Wow.
new sacred book coming. Like there is a new book, and it's not written. You, in this work that you're doing right now, and since the eclipses in the spring, and like Neptune and Saturn moving both into Aries, like both of them ending a cycle completely, the beginning of this is, I mean, with the 9 year, with the snake, you cannot make this up. And at this point, and somebody was quoting me the other day and sending me a voice note, and it's like, so I say it again, which I think is so true. If you have not gotten around to understand where we are in this world, seeing everything that is happening, I mean, I don't know, are you like, I mean,
Sleeping?
the people who haven't gotten it since 2020, okay, I give you grace and kisses and everyone in their own timing. But if you have not awakened and like found a certain sense of self and truth and boundaries and self connection in 24, 25, luckily
Yeah.
we did, and luckily many in our community did, and luckily we're seeing so much beautiful enriching energy of everyone in their own way. And you do not have to do it in a spiritual way, right? It's
Mm.
awareness, consciousness is not spiritual, it's natural. It's
Yeah.
natural, universal law. You don't need to, you need to have a body and you need to have a soul. Look, funny enough, we're all alive, so we have that. You don't need to do a
Esoteric
crazy thing like
practice.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, right? But if you want to, it's also going to be supported. Great.
Yeah.
But I think, it's so massive, my love. It's like a very beautiful, and then also, okay, this was intense, and then also just resting in the body and feeling the body and being like, while all of this is happening, it may be in your own life, maybe in your own body, maybe, and not maybe, but in this collective consciousness and what's happening and unfolding the world, but trusting that you are a child of this earth and you're a baby of the heavens, just like being here and being like, all I can do is surrender the control right now from this grip to this opening the hands, holding your healing hands. We're recording this on a new moon in Virgo, the lunation before the next eclipse on 0 degree Virgo, which is also, I mean, such a seed planting. It's seed planting, and yeah, we're definitely in so beautiful territory that, I mean, if you listen to beautiful old, 60 plus, 70 plus astrologers who've been practicing this for over 50 years, they're like, it's just insane. It's not possible that all four or even five outer planets are changing sign in like 6 months. Like from November 24, when Pluto moved into Aquarius, to a few months ago, all planets, outer planets, change sign, and some of them take 20 years to go through one sign, so that the alignment happens in 24, 25, 26, that it's all moving into this new world is very special. And I think what we need to be doing is understanding Tantra, the word Tantra, which means weaving in a new way, right? It's not Tantra, only
Yeah.
sexual practices where this can be beautiful, but it's weaving together. And weaving comes intuitively, right? You don't have to hold one perfect thing, or if you think about braiding, it's intuitive. And so I think this is a nice little bridge to go to Gem Sun, because it's, yes, it is a totally different practice, but in a way, I'm having the same position there as I have with
Yeah.
Bishen. It's kind of like pulling down, you know,
It's like the same
something that I
process.
feel. Exactly. It's the same process. And I like to call it in my own way, when I post about it, like ceremonial wear, because I wear it a lot when I teach. I wear it a lot when I'm moving into like special places, like sacred sites, and doing my pilgrimages and stuff. But it's such a beautiful example of how sacred union can happen, because I'm doing it with my best friend who's a Virgo. I'm a Pisces, right? So it's this like opposition, the axis of service coming together. And So she's literally the one doing it with her hands, the first prototypes. I am the
Wow.
idea. I'm literally the Pisces, right? It's dropping into me.
The
Let's do it like this, the
dreamy.
design, and then I'm communicating. Yeah. The imagine, like I'm pulling that picture I see that like in me, like pulling it down and then explaining it to her. She's brilliant. She's in the mind. She's Mercurian with this whole Virgo energy, and then she makes it with her hands,
Wow.
which is so special. So
And
you
with
know, and
that
because
fabric
we're
material or something, right?
that's stock fabric. Yeah. So with the accessories, so belts, hats, little baskets and bags and beautiful like crown decoration, she does it with her hands. And then with the clothing, we actually have a beautiful producer in Los Angeles. We're doing everything in the United States, who does the clothing for us. But we are sourcing all of the dead stock fabric with a special partner that we have there that are leftovers from bigger productions that are not used anymore. But we work with when we do the crochet and the braiding and the knit, it's always with material that we choose very wisely, but also the core materials that we work with are either biodegradable. So in the summer we work with raffia, which is paper like from palm trees, that is also like when you take a lot of water, so that's why we say careful with the heads, but like take a lot of water, put it in the earth, it will actually merge and like weave together with
Wow.
the earth again. And then we have another really nice one, that is one of it's I would say our bestseller is the paracord material, which is made out of PET bottles, so it's recycled material.
Wow.
And that one is really cool. I don't have anything close by, but you can check on Gemsun. Is you can shape those products. So especially for the hats, you can have a wide brim, or if you want to be like a little cute sailor, you can put it down. Like it's really special. And what is I think our core priority has always been to express ourselves. Yeah, it was never about we need to sell 1 million products, even though is beautiful. And when that comes, it's gorgeous and we receive that. It's wonderful. But it's really about also this union that we have. We even had another business partner before, which didn't work out because it wasn't really a union, and between us, it's a union. We understand each other kind of like without words. And so it's a very special, as you were saying, like the last drop that we did was the Grace collection. So working a lot with our spiritual teachings, not fully communicating it like how I do it with Bishan. And it's special because working with colors and materials and functionality, because she also, as a Virgo, we want to have products that can be worn in many different ways, because that's also sustainability, being able to wear things in different ways, which makes you not want to buy another product, which use that product. But yeah, also definitely we've had phases where we're like, what do we even want to create new products? Because does this world need more products? And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, in a way, when you build a container and your soul is coming through with it, it's the beauty path,
Yeah.
Venus path, and it feels very nourishing. And the way that we have restructured the business also in the last 1.5, 2 years of just like really devoting ourselves to that beauty path and to that healing path is wonderful. So we're really grateful that of all the supporters and the community that have been investing in pieces. And for a independent business like Gemsun, every order is like a gift.
Yeah.
Every order we're like, oh, we got it. It's very special. It's very special. So yeah, I'm grateful how these things happen. In the end, me wanting to be a creative director, it happened in a much
Yeah.
different way. It's not with LVMH, or I'm not at Prada, but I did it in a different way. And so, same thing, I was always dreaming about actually becoming a dancer and becoming, like, I was playing theater and I was dancing a lot when I was young too, expressing, and because it's so close to swimming. And when I was back in Germany, I couldn't swim as much. I was swimming also as sports, but like, so it was really nice to realize when I was in New York a few years and I was teaching my dance chakra alignment, which is another group session that I do. And I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm teaching dance in a much different way, not in a professional, choreographed way, but more in a spiritual, expressive way. I'm literally teaching dance in New York City. While with 12, 13, 14, I had like these visions of me being at Juilliard's in New York, how the dance movies and all of that. And so it's
Wow.
really special to be like, wow, it came through in such a different combination than I thought it was gonna. So that's again like the surrendering of the mind. Now I know, back then I didn't know. So trusting the
Wow, that really
womb and
touched
that
me.
intuitive path.
That's so beautiful. Like how it's all weaved together with the fashion, with the self-expression and getting into the body through the dancing and the movement and sustainability, being innovative. Wow, that's such a beautiful just what happens. It's just a testimony to what happens when you surrender and just be and do what
Absolutely.
intuitively comes to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also like I've had issues with that. I've not been, I mean, we all are so distorted in terms of like what is release and what is really like following the pleasure. But I really have to say, many close people around me, like not only the ones that feel good, but also these teachers that come in, teachers, right? That are like, oh my God, I turn into a monster and they turn into, right?
Yeah.
That has all taught me so much of like returning to the body and being like, hey, how does that feel to you? Like, right, we always say, I think it's cool, I think that's cool, I think, well, what happens now actually that Jupiter is in Cancer, which Cancer is I feel. So he's the biggest planet of the system, right? So we can, if you want to, this year until next June, you can say I feel more if you feel like it. Just seeing what changes when you actually use the mantra, right? The spoken word, the sound current, with different little infusions instead of I think going into I feel. Unless you obviously feel differently and you want to do it. But I think that I always had strong intuition, deep connection to Gaia, because I also have the Taurus moon and like grew up by the ocean. So that always was part of me. But
Yeah.
many dark nights of the soul, many,
Mm.
many, 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 an abundance of that. Just as an abundance of the miracle matrix that I was able to access. So it's really, that's the thing also. And Leonora and I speak about this, and she speaks about this so beautifully in her teachings too. It's not about love and light. It's about love. That's always it, right? It's about, but the path is not this typical love and light. And I think that's something that we need to understand. It's not. And I also want to, because she has been, or they have been coming up in the last few days, like what Abraham Hicks and the Hickses just teach is like, when you don't feel good, don't think you need to be top level happy. That's unauthentic. Number
Yeah.
one, that's also right. Like one of these things, what got me out of the corporate world and like was this inauthenticity. I could like, I'm a bullshit detector. I mean,
Yeah.
just through all of these gifts that I hold, and it's just like, no, just a little bit better. From feeling
Mm.
super fucked up, can you get a little bit better? I'm just feeling a little fucked. Like again, I'm feeling bad, and that it's making it sustainable, making the path feel authentic is, I think, one of the most, because if you jump from low to super high, you forget the body. You
Yeah.
skip the step of being in the body. And
Mm.
sometimes that's, you need to feel down and low. And so I think this is a dis-ease that we have in this society. You're such a beautiful opening, by the way. There's so much streams coming through. Thank you for letting me talk this, and I'll create some space for you
My
to also
pleasure.
ask questions, hopefully. But it's almost just like these darker like these. I feel low. I feel kind
Mm.
of like heavy. But why is that bad? Right?
Exactly.
Of course, if we feel depressed, we need to work on things, and that's totally fine. But I truly think depression is a phenomenon or a state of being when we're not expressed, when we're not doing the things
Yeah.
that we love. So when I start working with someone, we look into your energy temples. I call it energy temples. It's like spaces, activations, it's hobbies, pleasure points that you have that you love doing. You give
Mm.
energy when you do them. Like, for example, when we stay with dancing, right? When we dance, we give out energy, we sweat, and then we sit down. And that's what we forget in the society. We do not sit down after we do things that we love. We go to the gym and then we go already meet someone for a matcha. Nah. Can we actually take some space after we activate an energy temple, actually sit in the temple and be like, oh my gosh, let's just dance for an hour. And I gave so much energy. And now I'm receiving more energy back. And the more we do these things that feel good and like reactivate, wow, that's when we get to know ourselves. Then we're like, oh, I actually really love lifting weights. Or I actually really love running barefoot in a park. This pleasure principle is so deeply important, and we forget that. And so it's okay, right? It's okay to feel heavy sometimes, because the emotions is energy in motion. That is God or goddess, however you want to say it, right? God, generating, organizing, delivering. It's just like goddess frequency. That so emotions are gorgeous, and you know it. Yeah, with a Scorpio rising and a
Yes.
water moon, like, while we think and we got trained that it's come on, get over it. Yeah, there are moments in life where you need to get over it, but in the most refined and beautiful way, you actually create time, space, and community to sit in this emotion and let it authentically move through. Because the reason why these emotions keep coming back, or situations are coming back, signs and synchronicities, is
Yeah.
because we do not deal with them in an authentic manner, right? We don't receive them. We bash them away. When we receive them, we're like, oh, why am I actually jealous?
Yeah.
Jealous. I'm jealous. You know, when you go into that, you're like, oh my God, it's so sweet. It's just like some older part of you not being nurtured, or maybe a past life of you not being nurtured, a quantum version of you not being nurtured. And so it's coming back to that Ma frequency, right? Of this nurturing all parts of yourself, filling all parts of your vessel. For people who are just listening, I'm showing a necklace that is a vessel. So I've
Wow,
been
it's
doing a
so
lot of
beautiful.
vessel work and understanding, like, how can I be the vessel and receive. I think the biggest problem that we're having right now is actually us not knowing how to receive. We're so overly trained in the giving and the solar power of the masculine, that
Yeah.
divine feminine
Going,
receiving
doing.
is. And so I think that's so beautiful about this energy temple principle of just like, when I do something I love, can I actually promise myself to just sit with it for a moment? Because we don't take enough time to fill ourselves up. I'm just saying this because I experienced this,
Yeah,
you know,
I
especially at the
relate.
beginning, teaching big groups. You know, you teach, you give to people, and you're like, wow, the person is so happy, they're ending the call, they're in bliss. And then you are sitting there and you're like, okay, and I need to do this. Instead of like, hey, wait a minute, what did you just do?
Yeah.
What did you just feel? Can you, oh yeah, I actually, beautiful, I actually just did that, it's beautiful, can I feel it? And then, move on. So yeah,
Wow, I love that
it's,
sharing. That resonates
thank you.
so much. And I think that receptivity and surrendering and letting go of control is something that Mother Earth needs from us a bit as well, because we're so rigid and frantic and controlling. But we just need to soften most of the time, most problems. And that's again softening into what we're feeling, softening into the body. We don't need to run away from things or be on the go. We need to just be with ourselves.
And you know what I also think is so interesting is just like, I don't know why Christ consciousness is coming up, but it's coming up. So, and there's something with you. I always think like people with a fire sun and a watery moon, they're giving me like Christ consciousness energy. So you're giving me totally Christ consciousness energy. And it's just like, I think people or the world, humanity, and probably us too in past lives, we misunderstood the teaching of what light is and light practice and shamanism with the light. It's like we want to ascend and leave the body, right? We said that earlier, and we just want to disappear into death in a way, like leaving the body.
Yeah.
But the true gift is becoming alive in the body,
Mm.
like using the body as this divine temple, like feeling, nurturing, trying, experiencing
Mm.
everything with the body, and not letting the rain, when we take the vessel, the rain is coming down and the vessel doesn't get it, but like, can the vessel take up the water of the river, and that's, I think, if I knew this a few years back, like
Yeah.
10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, damn. And so, I mean, and everyone goes through different stages of, and probably in 5 years, I'll be like, whoa, and then, but
Yeah.
it, it's really special. That practice is really special.
And I love how you covered about like, because I think expression is the cure to depression. I don't know who says that, but like we're not here
Mhm.
to feel good all the time, but we need to express what we're feeling through dance, through painting, through vocally, like scream or sing or whatever you need to do. That's how you'll move through it. Like you can't think your way out of your depression.
Mm, wow, exactly. You can't think yourself out of your depression. That's beautiful. Yeah, because again, you're not taking the whole package. You're
Yeah.
abandoning the body. And the thing is, there's this one meditation I do with a lot of my clients, like first few months of working with each other, is this, right? When we have this one knot in our mind and we have it, when we place it, right? We work with the soma in somatic ways, like we place it somewhere in our body. And when you actually breathe through it and you loosen up that knot and you let the body help, the body is big. And the body is not just the physical body. We have the aura. We have, right? Then you're actually like, oh, the problem is not that big. But if you just hold it here, it's like this is a tiny space for compared to the whole world that you can use and make accessible. And then you're like, oh, it's actually tiny. It's actually just it's not that wide.
Yeah.
And another thing, one of my beautiful healers that I go as a patient every week, Stephanie Dixon in New York City, who's amazing. We talk a lot about the neck because her and I give a lot of energy. So and think about the physicality of your body, that this little guy here, this little girly, is holding the bridge, is the bridge between the body and this heavy brain that without we can't function, right? And without this we can't function. So it's so wild how yes, the face is so fascinating, and then spin the face further, like look at the body, how it's like the voice, the expression, what you're saying, it's just like underlining your point, right? Like is through the expression, through that throat, through the number 3, which is like, right, the union of sun, moon. The 3 is the child of like that creative expression, that triangle. We like to do this, but you know what I mean. Um, is a voice, using your voice, using that creative expression, and that only this tiny chamber here, this beautiful magical part of our body is holding that. It's divine. Our
Yeah.
body is magical. Every single one of us is magical. Every freckle, every coloration, every dark light spot that you have is magical. These are imprints of galactic experiences, of earthly experiences, of Gaia speaking through you. It's all just this beautiful mystery, and we are not meant to understand it here. We're meant to go through it here and
Yeah.
feel it. And oh
Wow.
God, I have a long way to go to fully be in that too. But at least we understand the path now, that the path is this and then this.
Mm. It's like the descending, the deeper the roots grow to hell, the higher the tree grows to heaven.
being that vessel, being that pathway, being that conduit between heaven and earth. That's how you create, like, the more you enter your life in your body, the more you can be the bridge that pulls down heaven on earth, because the heaven on earth, and I mean, when you go into the scriptures and like what Yeshua, aka Jesus Christ, and talked about, then giving up to Magdalene and all of these beautiful things, we'll talk about it another time. That's another big topic that I think is really enriching. It's just like, we need to find the kingdom. We need to find the kingdom. The kingdom is here.
Yeah.
It's here. It's here, and you need to open your eyes. You need to open your heart. You need to open your womb to be in it and see it and experience it. And I mean, that's what corporate world, crazy American infrastructure, like all around the world, right? It's like distracting us from what we already have. We don't need more makeup, even though it's beautiful. We love it. It's gorgeous. Venus, yes, we want that. But we don't need more plastic surgery. We don't need more food. We don't need more, like, it's all right here. And so what can you actually do with what's in front of you? Like, that's the sign and the synchronicity, and that's the practice. What's in front of you, the now, is the practice.
Wow. Mona, you're just
Yeah.
dropping so many things. I'm like, wow, she is just a well. And you have so many modalities and systems in you, but you also have this holistic, intuitive approach where all of them, I'm a bit mesmerized by the way you articulate yourself. It's just a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.
I'd love
I love seeing you, your beautiful open face, just being here, you giving me the space. So I feel very comfortable with you.
Well, I guess just to bring some other themes into this, we're talking a bit about the self-expression. You have your designing, your creative outlet, your intuitive coaching, your business, and all of this stuff. But you're also very knowledgeable, from what I gather, about like herbs and holistic health and the practices to take care of yourself. As I understand it, you're sober, you're very conscious, right? So I'm curious to hear a bit about like what's your daily practice, what supplements do you like, and what's your approach to beauty? Because I feel like Bi Shen is this like illumination of the inner individuality and beauty, and it feels like you are such a like beauty and just like you're like a goddess energy, just radiance. So I'm just what are your thoughts?
I love your the bridge that you're building, because we just entered Virgo, so that's very beautiful. These daily rituals to bringing that forward, and yeah, you're bringing me back into my body now. This is beautiful. Oh, delicious. Okay, so I highly believe in body work and seeing people that you deeply resonate with on a consistent level. So not only do I recommend this to my clients, but I do it myself. I've been seeing my acupuncturist for I think 4+ years on a weekly basis when I'm home. You know, sometimes obviously I travel, but so she's been helping me to bring as you just heard, like all these different ideas and energies into my body. And I think that's for me one of the most important things to do. I also see on a regular basis my Vedic astrologer teacher, and obviously people like Leonora, and I do a lot of exchange with the people. But on a daily basis, I'm very devoted to my daily practice. And as I said earlier, for me, one of the most important principles and pillars of the temple, and I think of this like priestess life, as you were saying, is I was like channeling this yesterday. It's like the priestess is the temple embodied in bones. And I think the commitment to daily prayer and daily work is so important, because you're kind of creating this masterpiece, this clockwork of tuning in on a daily basis. So as I told you, from 18 on, I started meditating daily, and actually got into tantric yoga, kundalini yoga, and all of that. And I'm loving a lot of it, some not so much, but I actually been on a big journey, and the journey is ending next week. So I have been practicing a special meditation that is 11 minutes for over 3 years every day for 11 minutes. And I'm
Wow, I'm
reaching
so impressed.
1111 next week, and it's very exciting. I haven't missed a day. I've taught it to hundreds of people, and it's been wild because I've done it through breakups. I've done it through big friend breakups, through people dying in my family. You know, every day I did it. And
Wow.
so I really believe in the daily practice. And I think the
Mm.
daily practice for me personally, and for a lot of people I've worked with, is just building the container. And maybe at the beginning, it's just your personal container that you are in, right? Your spiritual cocktail, however that looks like. That's how I call it, the spiritual cocktail. And at some point, that container turned into my life. It turned into the business. You
Mm.
know, for you, it can be very different. But I just think that devotion, that real devotion to your spiritual self, or physical self, or however you want to, or lovey self, or whatever you want to call it, angel self, grounding self, it's the most inexpensive, long-term, preventative beauty
Yeah,
elixir that you can imagine. Like,
yeah.
it's just insane how it does, how you are able to drop into self therapy with that. And if it's just 5 minutes a day, if it's 10 minutes a day, if it's 20 minutes a day, if it's 90 minutes a day, it's whatever you make it. That's why I call it that spiritual cocktail, because some people are just wired in a way that they want something different every day. But I think it's important to expose yourself to all these different practices: breath work, meditation, yoga, movement, recycling, making your matcha, journaling, and integrating every day something that makes your vessel feel full, you know. And
Mm.
it can change every day, or you commit to something in the same level, you know. Same thing with supplements. I believe in them, and my husband is a very well educated guide in this world, so I'm lucky that I get
Ah.
this from him. And also my acupuncturist and is a Chinese herbalist too, so I receive from them. It's I love functional mushrooms a
Mm.
lot. I also do have started recently to do electrolytes, especially in the summer, which has helped me a lot. I've been loving it a lot. I also work with rose a lot. I work with a lot of rose oils and rose drops, which is amazing. And I've been loving that for the last few years. And yeah, I work with flowers. So for
Oh, do
me,
you?
anything from lotus oil, jasmine is I feel like my soul flower. So definitely jasmine over everything. Jasmine, rose, lotus. Um, I've been loving gayak oil, which is like a Japanese wood oil. So I love working with scents and textures for my own health. So health is also, especially for Taurus moon, like comfortability, feeling good in a space. So I use this a lot. Like before coming into this call, I put a beautiful special oil on that is like aura protective, really beautiful with all these different ingredients. I got this in a 500-year-old pharmacy in Germany a few months ago. So I move through different things, but it's kind of always the same thing, like oils, flower essences, commitment to seeing the same people because they're getting to know you, right? I love
Yeah.
movement, like I dance a lot, and I love bar, Pilates, all of that.
Oh, me
I'm
too.
not so much into running anymore right now, but it can change. You know, I always say this also depends on your year vibration in the numbers where you were at. You know, I'm definitely in a more introspective, slower vibration this year. Might change next year, you know. But what I can say is when you start, when you stop people pleasing and you connect to yourself, and then through that, you are going to be of service, your body is going to change.
Yeah.
Number one, water intake. Huge, huge. Probably water, rest, and like surrounding yourself with the right people and the right energy. I think that's the way you stay healthy, and connecting to these, looking at your wounds. so that you don't
Mm.
carry them with you. Because I believe in this whole Louise Hay, and as so many mystics
Yeah.
believe, right? It's like every physical disease holds a vibration, and it holds a certain emotional experience, a block, la 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 la. And so I do believe that. And even years ago, when I felt suppressed, when I felt like I'm totally in chains in this corporate world, like how am I getting out? I'm
Mm.
full of talents, but I can't really see them. I did have an autoimmune, and I did not take the medicine. I just worked through it. I guess being my own
Healer.
beautiful guinea pig, like working on my own body. And it is not existing anymore after doing tests. But was years ago. But but
Mm.
this autoimmune probably didn't develop from experiences from the years before, but probably from decades before, or a decade before.
Yeah.
So I think emotional devotion, devoting yourself to your feelings and emotions. And I hope that, yeah, kind of gave you, answered the
I
question
love this
a
approach.
little bit.
I resonate a lot with how your approach to health, beauty, because everything is like everything's the same, really. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you move your body, how you show up for yourself, having discipline,
Mm-hmm.
but also
Mm-hmm.
like nourishing yourself from the inside out. And also I think as females to like really tap into that Venusian energy, having like the oils and like feeling juicy and yummy in that experience as well. And treating yourself to your favorite teas or your favorite flower essences or your favorite herbs that this feels grounding or warming or whatever it might be, that we
Yeah.
can balance imbalances. Because I guess like
Mm-hmm.
disease and this stuff, it's imbalances that it's the body screaming for a bit of attention. And when you start to check in with yourself every day,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of, you're able to listen.
100%. 100%. And I think when some people ask, like, how do I get there, right? Like, how do I know what's good for my body? How it's following the bliss, following
Yeah.
the breadcrumbs of bliss, following the pleasure. And I also really love working with the seasons. So I've always, I think that's something that was maybe healing to me when I returned back to Germany. It's like, oh, I don't have the ocean. I don't have that, that freedom and that nature accessible to me. But I love the seasons. And every season was like, this is my favorite season. This is my favorite. Spring is my favorite. Summer is my favorite. Fall is my favorite. Winter is my favorite. And so aligning yourself to this. And this is really nice when you look at farming. Yeah, through farming, you can look at a lot of different things. And so in the spring, we birth, right? So we are called to be more outside. We are called to maybe move a little bit more. The chi is coming back. In the summer, it's so hot. You want to swim. You want to do saltwater therapy, etc. Then the fall, it's transition. We harvest. Maybe you want to return to the infrared sauna. Anyone who's in New York and hasn't tried it, I highly recommend the Sky Ting Contrast Suite, where you have an ice bath and an infrared, which is super beautiful and just gorgeous space. So that's something that I do also on a regular basis. And then in the winter, we return home into our womb and we sauna, right? We eat heavier, delicious. So that is, I think, one of the most healing principles when we talk about like physical body healing, aligning yourself to the seasons. And then from there, you drop into the seasons of you. What
Yeah.
seasons do you have? What is your menstrual flow? What's the seasons
Yeah.
of the moon, etc.? So when you are okay with seasons and you accept it and you allow this concept of season and that vibration of season to enter you, then you don't have a problem with being sad for 1 week, because it's a
No.
season. And then you're really happy for a few days. It's a season. It's always moving and moving. We can trust. And this is, I think, maybe a beautiful kind of like last thought or something. But nature shows us exactly the path. You don't have to control and click a button for the fall leaves to come in Sweden now for you. Or when I return to New York in a few weeks, yeah, I'll know there will be a different breeze than at the beginning of summer. So you don't have to do anything for it. It's just coming. And it's divine timing. And some years, yes, it's a bit hotter, and some years it's a bit colder, and we're going through an overall transition on this planet, but you can trust it. you know that the full moon is coming in 2 weeks. Like, you don't have to do anything about it, right? You just need to receive it. That has helped me a lot too, I have to say, in the last years. Yeah.
And I think that's also, somebody I had on the channel before that, like, true spirituality is just recognizing that we are nature. In the same way that a flower
God, we are.
knows when to bloom, knows when to sprout, knows when to, like, die and go back into the earth. It's quite cool. But wow, Mona, time is flying, and I feel like
quite cool.
I would love to have you back on and we can talk a bit more, because I think people would be really curious to hear more about what is Chinese face reading and exactly how does numerology work on the more deeper layers, and how we can use these ancient and sacred tools and practices and esoteric approaches to get more clarity and connect with ourselves. And so maybe we can schedule a new time in the future where we can go a bit deeper. Because I just feel like
I would love
a
that.
bit taken aback by all the wisdom that you've just let flow out of you today. Wow. And I'm so impressed by your meditation practice that you've kept on for so long. And I feel like you are then a testimony to all the, like, spiritual activation and knowingness and remembering that happens when you do something like that for a long period of time. I mean, imagine if all human beings would be doing a daily 10-minute meditation, we would be on super, like, steroids.
We would be, and I feel like that's maybe that can be the future, returning to these Atlantean archetypes, and not only archetypes, but that embodiment of union and union within you. Yeah, it's been powerful. So I'm gonna report back. Next week is the last one and last day that I'm completing it, and so it's emotional. It's kind of like, who am I without that meditate, right? Like, this was theoretical devotion, and now embodying it, I will definitely stop for a while and, like, be like, what's coming through, and so letting that oracle now blossom and bloom and connect. And I'm so happy you had me on today. This was really special. I'm so grateful I got to share this and that you received me, and we'll definitely do a deep dive. And I would love for people, if they already have questions, can connect with me, and if you're interested in working with me, also reach out.
I'll
And
link
I
all
would
the
love to receive.
details to you so people can follow you and check in and see what you offer. And I guess we could end just for today with what you have, what's your, like, what's coming up for you, what are your dreams, what's in the pipeline.
I think I feel more surrendering coming, and definitely a life where I am spending more time by the ocean again. So for the last 2 months, I was traveling all around Europe, being in all different oceanic spaces. If people want to connect on Spotify with me, I'm doing oceanic downloads from different water sanctuaries, just like downloads. And if people feel interested to follow along, it's really cool. I don't know, it just dropped in a few weeks ago and I started doing it. But I think that's the dream, to be in New York, have a beautiful palace in New York, close to the park in Brooklyn, where I'm fully settled, and then spending more time traveling to swim and being communion to swim. And I also would love to call in some residencies, me being in different places and gorgeous goddess temples, and, like, just being there to connect with people who are not in New York, because all my sessions are digitally. But I would love to be also in person and with people from all around the world in beautiful spaces, creating more of that goddess opening. And then I think one of my core prayers is just, like, fullness, just to be blessed by fullness and feeling full just by being. I think that's something that's so not having that is like suffering, right? And so calling in,
Yeah.
just feeling full and satisfied and seeing what I have and what I've created and becoming full by just being me. I think that's a really big prayer.
Wow. That's so beautiful. And again,
Yeah.
like that receiving yourself and holding yourself. Mm. Wow. I feel that's a
Yeah.
beautiful note to wrap up for today. But thank you so much, Mona. That
Mm.
was a pleasure. And I look forward to connecting back again
Thank you.
soon. And on the listeners' behalf as well, thank you for taking the time and for sharing so generously what's on your inside and your journey and how you perceive the world and all your unique gifts and talents. And I know that's one of your gifts as well, to see and recognize other people's gifts, which is very special. So thank
Yeah.
you, and I hope
Oh,
you have a
thank you.
beautiful rest of your time in Greece. And maybe we will see each other some point in the
Thank you.
physical world as well.
I hope so. I hope so. I would love to, and I would love to look deeper into your eyes. They're already intriguing me through the camera. So I'm excited. I love that you
Yeah,
darken
I would
them with
love
the
to
liner.
learn
A
more
very,
about that
very
whole.
priestess of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona. Take care. Sending you lots of love and blessings.
Likewise.
Ciao.
Bye.